Automating your automation. That's what we're going to talk about in this Scrapebox video, which is on the Automator plugin. So if you don't have Scrapebox, you can jump over here to scrapebox.com, roll all the way down to the bottom and grab it before the deal ends. And the next thing you want to do is go over to scrapeboxtips.com, and I'm going to give you free tips, tricks, videos, and guides on different things you can do with Scrapebox, including how to make money. The Automator plugin is one of a group of plugins. With Scrapebox, you have the core application. Then you have what's called add-ons. These are all extra applications that come with Scrapebox with the core application. Then you have premium plugins. Premium plugins are an additional investment, and they are, again, extra applications. So we can go here to show available plugins. If you don't have the Automator, you click on it, you roll down here to install, and then you can install it. Of course, if you haven't bought it, it'll take you to the buy page, and then they activate it in 12 hours or less, and then you install it. Once you have it installed, you go here and you go to the Automator plugin. Now, Automator plugin seems a little odd to say because Scrapebox is automation software. So let me kind of break down what happens. With Scrapebox, there's like 10,000 functions, right, in here. And each one you run it and it does an automation task. So like if you wanted to test proxies, you could load in 10,000 proxies and it would test them all, or you could load in 10,000 keywords or 100,000 keywords, whatever, and then scrape a million results from Google and Yahoo, etc. Right? So you can do that, and those are automated tasks. But what if you want to string them together? That's what the purpose of the Automator is. And so when we go in the Automator plugin, you get to have what's called available commands. And so we're going to click on different ones, and then we're going to build our sequence of events. And then inside of some of them, we get to have options over here, or command parameters, as it's called, to change, what happens. So like in this one, I can choose if I want different footprints that are built in, or the search engines and the keywords and all that jazz. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm just going to delete these. There is a couple of useful info bits here that, especially if you get stuck, tell you, about how it works, like rolling the mouse key and left and right keys and different things you can do. And then once we have our automation setup built, we can start a new Automator file. If there's one loaded, we can load up an Automator file, and then we can append an Automator file and save it, right? So if we're working on it, we can save it, then we can come back and load it, or we could merge two of them together, and then we can start a whole new one. And then we can do this. We can hover over this for path markers. So this is like, it's called path markers, right? You could think of this as like a token or a variable, for example. So you can put these in the actual path. So you can see the top one, for example, %SB%. It's the Scrapebox application path. So if you wanted to punch in and have it do that, or you can put in down here at the bottom time, date, time, random number. So you can do these on like save file names. So when you export something, you can have it add a timestamp or a random number, for example, so that you can then export like 50 files and they're all unique, right? Otherwise, if you tried to export the exact same file name, Windows is going to overwrite, or Mac going to overwrite that file, right? And so I did just say Mac, but I should clarify this is available for Windows only. Mac lacks some components necessary to run the Automator plugin. And if you want to read more about the Automator plugin, in addition to this video, you can hop back over to scrapebox.com and click on this plugins link at the top, and then roll down here to the Automator. And it gives you, a lot of information that is useful, along with a previous video that I have done on the actual Automator. But this one, we're covering it again because things have changed. There's new features, all that sort of stuff, right? So this is this version right now. Everything's always being updated and maintained, right? So in here is different sections. We have proxies, keywords, harvester, poster, trackbacks, ping, and miscellaneous, and then of course add-ons. We can collapse them if we want to just work inside them, but these all correspond to things. The Automator does not add, more or less. It kind of does, but for the most part, it doesn't add new functionality. It simply allows you to string different components of Scrapebox, whether it's functions of the core Scrapebox or the add-ons together. Automator does not work with any of the other premium plugins, meaning you can't automate premium plugins. What you can automate is add-ons. So the giant list of add-ons, what's applicable, and then all the features that are in Scrapebox, which there's lots of them buried here. As you click on different things, there's all kinds of stuff. I'm going to walk through that real quick with you, and then I'll walk through it in more detail. But let's do the quick part first. So for the quick part, we of course have proxies. That corresponds to the proxy section down here. Let's just make these next to each other. We have the keyword section that's related to up here. We have the harvester, which is related to this whole URLs harvested section. This and list management is all part of the harvester section. And then we have the poster, which is down here. Then we have trackbacks, which is also just another function of the poster down here. We have ping, which is another function of this section down here. And then we have miscellaneous, which is there's just a bunch of different things. There's some of the different functions up here that weren't included in the harvester because they weren't related to harvesting, or the ability to loop, which is, to run the Automator plugin over and over and over and over again endlessly or a certain number of times, and lots of other stuff. And then we have the add-ons, which are related to here. So let's talk about that for a minute. I'll give you an example. Let's say that I would like to harvest some keywords. So first I might enable proxies, which turns that on. So that's what would happen. I'm going to enable proxies. Then maybe I want to test some proxies. I can test them against Google since I want to harvest from Google, for example. This is all the same stuff that you would do in the proxy tester. And then of course I can keep them from certain countries and all that sort of stuff. So let's say I test proxies. Probably I want to load the proxies first, I guess. So let's just drag this up here. We can drag it. Oh, I went too far. So I can enable the proxies, load proxies from a file. I'll pick my file, like a text file where the proxies come in. Then I want to test my proxies to see if they're Google passed. And then I want to scrape for some keywords. So I want to go to Google Suggest, for example, and I want to get the keyword for car, for example. And I can load in keywords as well and export them as well. And then let's say I want to harvest URLs, and I'm just going to use the custom harvester, and I'm going to use Google here if I can find it. I got all these other Googles in here, but the Google here, and we'll throw Bing and Yahoo for kicks and giggles. I can punch in keywords here, but if we want to do the scraped keywords, then I could save them to file and load them back in, for example. And then let's say I want to remove duplicate URLs when I'm done. And then let's say I want to go ahead and run the add-on link extractor and then extract internal links, for example, so I can get different links from the page. And maybe I only remove URLs not containing the word contact, for example, because I only want contact pages, or maybe about also pages. Then maybe once I have the contact and about pages, I want to run the email scraper, for example, which is, I forgot where it is. There's a lot of options. Let's find it here. It's actually under miscellaneous. I can grab emails. And then once, that's done, let's say that I want to loop it, for example. But first, let's throw it in the loop on continuous. But then we also want to do a delay. So I want to delay for 60 minutes, for example, in between each round. Okay? And it puts it in a number of seconds. And so I can do that. Another thing that you might like to know is that you can shut down Scrapebox, but you can execute an external program. So this is super useful. I don't want to dive too deep here, but it'll work with executable or exe files or batch files, so .bat files. You can do a lot with a .bat file, to be honest. Something that I really have found, like I built these for years, like a decade, but since ChatGPT came out a couple of years ago, you can, and it's way better. You can ask it to do a lot of stuff. So if you have something you want to do, you can just say, hey, can you write me a batch file for this? And you can then just test it. And then once it works, you can just go in here. So you can expedite. If you know how to write a batch file or an exe file anyways, you can expedite it with a GPT. Or if you don't know how to do it, a lot of times you can accomplish it entirely with a GPT. Otherwise, you could always hire a developer, which is what I used to do. But I don't really do that anymore because I can get everything done with GPTs if I don't know how to do it. For the exe file, like add an example, the way I did it is because I taught myself Python years ago. I would write what I needed in Python if I couldn't do it in a batch file, and then you would just get a compiler that compiles the Python file into a .exe file. .exe files, just as a note, once they're compiled, they're there. So if you want to make a change later or do something, you got to recompile it and everything. I like to work with batch files if possible, just because it's simpler to edit, especially in the testing mode, because I can just go back and forth. Or if I want to make a change later, do as you please. That was just something out there. Why would we want to use an exe or a batch file to execute? Let's say, for example, that I wanted to, so let's just start a new Automator file and clear everything out. Let's say that I have like 15 files. They're text files, right? And I want to load them in, and I'll show you this in a second, like the Automator running. I want to load in 15 different text files, but Scrapebox supports only fixed file names. So if I want to go here to the harvester and I want to get emails from them, right? And then export. If I want to import URLs into the harvester, you can see I have to pick a file name. So I could go here and let's just make a new folder and new folder 6, whatever. But I've got to pick a specific file name, right? So test.txt, right? This. Now, if I have 15 files, that's not going to work because Scrapebox isn't going to load like and go. It won't load a folder and then go through the whole 15 files that are in a folder. So what I do is I make a .bat file that simply grabs. It's going to grab one file from a folder, like folder A, for example, and then it's going to write the contents of that file to, stick with me here if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's going to write the contents of that file to test.txt. Then we're going to run the Automator, loop it. Then we're going to run the external program. And then the external program is going to grab file number 2 from folder A, and it's going to write the contents to test.txt and then run it, and then it'll come back and grab the file 3 and write the contents. So in this way, you can have Scrapebox loop through a folder with 1,000 files or 10,000 files or whatever, and still work with the fact that Scrapebox needs a fixed file name. There's tons of applications here. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can get data with Scrapebox, export it, let an external program run and do something else with that data, and Scrapebox can wait for that. So if you are, you can have it to wait for that program to exit, and then when that program exits, the Automator can run again. So like the possibilities of tying it into another program here are very wide and lots of options. So if you have no idea what I just said, I'll bring it down here. It means that you can extend the power of Scrapebox and make it more powerful and let it work beyond Scrapebox itself. So we can go ahead and get rid of this because we're not going to talk anymore about the Automator or the external program part of it. So what could be something we could do here? Well, pretty straightforward. Let's say, again, I want to harvest URLs. And so let's just put in the keyword car here. And then let's say I want to remove duplicate URLs, and then I want to grab emails from them, right? So let's just do that real quick. So harvest some URLs, custom footprint, fine. I'm going to run it without proxies just for this test of this video. Keep this simple. Remove duplicate URLs is fine. I want to grab the emails, and I want to grab them from a harvester list. So when it harvests, it's going to put the URLs in here. I'm going to grab the emails from that list of URLs, and I'm going to save them in our emails output folder. And depth is 1. You can go multiple levels deep into the site. No delay. All this is good. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here so that I don't have random stuff happen. I do need to select a search engine. That was missed indeed. And let's see, footprints. I don't need to merge any footprints with this. It's going to stick them right in the harvester. So that should work. So let's save that Automator file, and we're going to say test Automator. Right? Okay, now it's saved. Let us exit out of this. And the way that you run the Automator file is simply go to Automator, run Automator jobs, and you can put certain jobs in here as your favorites if you're going to run them over and over again. So it's like a, like a bookmark list, basically. Run Automator job. Let us find that folder. I think it was this one. It clearly was not. Okay, and I found the Automator file. It's in the documents folder. It doesn't matter. Just keep track of where you save your stuff. Obviously, I was not really paying attention for this video, but let's run it. And what's going to happen is we're going to be harvesting some URLs, and then we're going to get some emails, right? So what you can see what's happening in the background here. We have this log, where it's processing the Automator file and it's doing harvest URLs. We can see it's stuck in the keyword. So it'll interact with the different sections of Scrapebox as it runs, and it will harvest. And then you also can manually interact. So like right now it's still harvesting. I want to go ahead and skip. I'm going to hit stop. It'll finish out and then it'll proceed to the next thing. So right now it has now removed duplicate URLs there. And you can see it's now scraping emails. So you can see it's harvested URLs, removed duplicate URLs, grabbing emails. And so now we have all these emails that are from here, and we don't have to let this run forever. I'm going to hit stop, and it should wrap up here in just a second. It's got to wait for Windows to close out these connections. And then what's going to happen is we should have an output here of there it is, emails.txt, which is all of the emails. And then of course we could have chose to save the URLs with the emails and all that sort of jazz, but that's what, this is how the Automator works. So it can automate all of this different stuff. If you just kind of wanted to figure out how the Automator worked, you go ahead and stop now. I'm going to jump in here for a minute and actually go over like a little bit more in depth of everything the Automator does. I realize this is a long video. Thanks for sticking with me. But Automator it's kind of a big plugin, if you want to call it big, because like it's powerful and big in that way, but it's big like the amount of functionality it brings because it can do so much. And so if you're still with me, let's dive in and talk about this. I'm kind of just going to read through the features and just give you my input. Under proxies, we can turn proxies on and off with enable and disable proxies. We can harvest for proxies. We can test proxies, load proxies, save proxies. So you can make a whole proxy setup just with that. You can remove duplicate proxies. You can remove all user proxy sources, and you can add harvested URLs as a proxy sources. So these would be related to if you wanted to harvest public proxies, and you could build a setup where it kind of like takes existing working proxies, looks for websites that have those, and then finds more websites to add as proxy sources. And you could do this and endlessly keep like a list of updated proxy sources and harvest private or public proxies. I just use private proxies and I don't do all of that, but you can do that. You can scrape keywords, of course. So from the different suggestions, you can import keywords, export keywords. With this, you can merge keywords, and you can use various keyword filter functions like removing duplicates and synonymize. I don't know if that's how you say that. Wrap keywords. The list goes on, right? You can see it. So you can under the harvester section, so I'm just going to collapse these and get rid of them. Harvester, we can harvest URLs here, remove duplicates, remove duplicate domains, remove URLs containing and not containing. So these are like if you want to put in entries here, remove all URLs not containing the word carbon. I have no idea, whatever you need. And then remove URLs which are not URLs. So you can do ones that they aren't URLs. So if you've got data that you're loading in here somehow that it has other stuff in it. And then you can remove URLs not containing from. So containing or not containing from, this lets you pick a file. This just lets you enter them right here, same functions. And then I should say this one too. This is remove URLs containing. If you leave it like this, if you put a check mark there, it's remove URLs not containing from that based on that text file. We can remove URLs with extensions. You can put a list of extensions like .gov, .edu, fill in the blank. You can trim to root, trim to last folder, trim to domain level. So these are all just trim functions like you would use right here under trim up here. So like trim to root, you can see what it does. So you can do these functions in Scrapebox to see what happens and understand if you want to use them in the Automator. Randomize the harvester grid, pretty straightforward. Again, we can go here and randomize the harvester grid. You get it. So you can play with it there. You can clear the harvester grid, clear the footprints, clear the keywords, transfer harvester URLs, transfer them. So it's going to send them from here down to these functions here, this one, and this one's the same as this right here functions. And so we can import URLs into the harvester or into the import and add. So that's just import and replace and import and add are those functions there. Export from the harvester, export as an XML sitemap. All that's is export URLs. There's an XML sitemap under here, so on and so forth. So those are export options. Same thing here as export as HTML. Compare URL list. That lets you compare one versus another. So that would be the same thing as import and select URL list to compare, or compare on domain level. So this is compare URLs and this is domain level. I have a whole video on comparing URL list. You can see the two circles that overlap. That's the thumbnail on my channel. Export and split. So again, this is export options. You can export and split in, like if you have 1 million URLs, you can split them into files of 1,000 URLs each. Export and randomize, prefix URLs with HTTP, remove subdomains from URLs, and filter multiple subdomains out. Now, if we go to the poster, we can, let's just clear this. We can generate names and emails and post content and post contacts. So this is contact forms, and post content would be like blog comments. That's an easy comparison anyways. You can post more than blog comments, but that is that. Trackbacks, sending trackbacks, pretty straightforward. Pinging websites. I'm not going to go into pinging websites, but that's this function right here. Pretty straightforward. Under miscellaneous here, let's clear this out. We have comment only. And so this will add comments between commands. Type your comment. So this is like a note to yourself. So you can see it in the log. You can say, hey, you know, now it's proceeding to step 2. This is like leaving yourself a note in the log if you want to read the log, kind of thing. You can check Yandex rank, which Yandex doesn't actually work anymore. I believe Yandex removed that. Anyways, I'm sure they'll update this, but or they may have some new rank in here. But anyways, so it's there. This is the same thing as check indexed right here, or not check index, sorry, check metrics right here. And then check links. So that's grab, you know, again, checking links. And then we can wait, which is just a delay. We already talked about that. Send a notification email. You can have it email you when it gets done. So you can put this at the end, or say, you know, hey, this loop is finished, starting a new loop, whatever. You can put in your subject and your message. You do have to go in here into options and set up the email notification, right? So somewhere in here is set up notification email, right? So you set up your settings in there, and then you can do that. Looping, grabbing emails, grabbing links. This is, you know, just getting links. It's kind of like the link extractor, but it's slightly different. It crawls through the site. Grabbing phone numbers, shut down Scrapebox, execute external program. We talked about domain lookup. We can see if domains are available. Check index, pretty straightforward. You want to check if your links are indexed in Google or Yahoo, whatever. Custom grabber, grab keywords from harvested URLs, and grab meta info from harvested URLs. Meta info being like, there it is, you know, so, and then we can save it. So this is meta info would be like your keywords, title, and all that sort of stuff. You can, this is all like the grabbing stuff is all under here, right? So meta info is right there. So that's miscellaneous. Now let us look at the add-ons. We can do the link extractor add-on. And by the way, add-ons again are all of these things right here that come with Scrapebox. And link extractor, malware to check if the sites have malware. You can do a live check to see if they're dead or alive. Alexa rank checker. Alexa, this will probably get changed to Alexa shut down the Alexa toolbar. So I'm not sure how that's going to work in the future, but Alexa used to be a thing. Not Alexa like from Amazon, Alexa from like Alexa for like rank checking websites. If you know, you know. If you don't, fine. Don't worry about it because they shut it down. Backlink checker. You can check backlinks of the add-on. I think that one uses Moz, or maybe that's just the count of the backlink checker. It is the Scrapebox backlink checker. Yeah, this one's the Moz one. So Moz API one, free or paid. Google Image Grabber, grab images from Google. Page Authority add-on, that also has Moz. Page Scanner add-on, you can scan a page to see if it contains certain words. Sitemap Scraper, scrape sitemaps. Vanity Name Checker, this is for your social or Web 2.0 sites like, I can't even remember. I don't really use Web 2.0 sites. The Vanity Checker, you can see if they're available for, where's the list? Definitions. Things like Blogspot, Deviant, Etsy, Flickr, the list goes on, right? There you go. The TD-NAM scraper, this is to check domain names that are up for auction from GoDaddy. The broken links checker, check if links are broken on your website. It crawls a website, sees if the links are broken. The Google Competition Finder, check to see what your competition in Google is. It actually just gives you the count. Google Cache Extractor, it extracts the information about when the Google last cached the page. Outbound Link Checker, it checks the outbound links, like how many outbound links are on a page. The Social Checker, it checks for, it'll pull Like if someone has their Facebook page, a business has a Facebook page, an Instagram page linked on their website, it'll pull those off. The Whois scraper scrapes Whois data. Do follow test to see if links are do follow. If your links that are built are do follow. Rapid indexer, it'll index your links that you've built. Redirect checker checks for redirects. So if you have a big list of URLs and they're redirect URLs, you can check and get the final destination URL. Mobile site tester tests. I feel like Google also just recently changed this. I'm not sure if I haven't tested this. They always go through here and update, but Google apparently has made a bunch of changes like super recently, and obviously it takes time to rewrite code. But the mobile site tester tests to see if your site is mobile available. I don't know if Google. Yeah, so it looks like they already. Oh no, it's right here. This is what it is. Maybe just they changed how it works because you have to use an API key. Anyways, that's what that does. Domain resolver is going to check and see. It like gives you where a domain is from, like the country and the city and all this sort of stuff. Bunch of information about the domain. Social account scraper. This is what I told you the social checker was. I got that wrong. I just remembered. The social account scraper goes to the website and gets the list of social accounts off it. So if you have Bob's Crab Shack, I don't know, and he has a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and you want to sell him something or contact him, you can get all of his social stuff or the business's social pages off there. The social checker add-on then is my brain's drawing a blank, so let's load it and then I'll know. Oh, right. Sorry. It checks to get the social URL of these pages. Alexa, like I said, is no more. There used to be a lot of social platforms that made it really easy you could load in a list of URLs from those social pages and then get data about it. So you could say the rankings or different things. A lot of them have shut that data down now because they don't want to share it, but it gets data about, like if you had a Facebook URL, it would tell you like a Facebook rank kind of thing or some number. I'm not even sure. Haven't used it in a minute myself personally. Social account scraper. I don't work for Scrapebox. I just make videos because a lot of people find it useful. And then the last one is the screenshot creator. It'll create a screenshot of websites. So if you have a lot of websites you need screenshots of, it takes those. Could be useful for marketing and sales. So that is the Automator plugin. Again, you can also check out the other video, which I will link in the description for the last Automator plugin video I made. It may have some other details that I just didn't say in this video if you want more info, because this was already a long video, and give you some more examples and show it running and just help you think through the process of using it. So there's lots of information there. Because a lot of this really is the same from before, but there are some new things. So wanted to make a new one and just update them. So that is the Automator plugin. Again, if you don't have Scrapebox, you can get that from scrapebox.com. And thanks for hanging out so long with me, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this Scrapebox video. For more Scrapebox videos, click the subscribe button down below and then click the bell. And then check out these other great Scrapebox videos.